the beginning, there was only cold, an old wooden cabin trembling under endless wind, a dying fire, and an old man who believed he still had time. But in this world, time is the first thing that disappears, isn't it? Because how many seconds does it take for breath to vanish at 80 degrees Celsius? How long before panic steals the air from your lungs and your hands stop moving? How long before the snow becomes a coffin? And when he collapsed beneath that fragile crust of white, trapped in darkness, reaching upward toward a sky he would never touch again, who could possibly hear him? Who could possibly come? And why? Out of all the endless silence, did a single dog stop, turn, and listen? Was it instinct? Was it memory? Or was it something deeper that only loyalty understands? Because she dug through death itself, through collapsing snow and freezing darkness, not with strength, not with reason, but with love. And for a moment, life returned, fire burned again, hands trembled beside warm stone, food was shared, sleep came slowly, and for a fragile moment, it felt like the storm had lost. But hasn't the storm always been patient? Hasn't it always waited just outside the walls, counting breaths, counting heartbeats, counting the nights until the fire grew weaker and the man's breath grew shallow, until eyes closed longer than they should? And still she stayed, didn't she? Curled beside a bed that would never rise again? Because some bonds do not end when life does. They simply wait, and days passed, then weeks. Then time itself stopped counting. The fire died, the cabin froze, and the man became only memory. Bones beneath blankets, spider webs where hands once moved, silence where breath once lived, and still she lay beside him. So tell me, what kind of heart continues beating when the world it loved has already vanished? What kind of soul remains when warmth has become only a photograph on the floor? Two faces smiling from a time when winter had not yet won. And is there anything more painful than remembering what life used to be? More cruel than knowing you cannot return to it? So she left? Not because she wanted to, but because the living must keep walking, through storms and hunger and endless white silence, carrying only a puppy beside her, the last fragile piece of the future. And somewhere far away, she nearly died again, in water colder than death, in waves that erased all strength. And yet, she survived, didn't she? Because her story was not finished. Because someone was still waiting. So she followed footprints back through memory, through fear, through snow, and finally came home not to a man, not to a fire, but to a child who still needed warmth. And together they waited again until breath slowly returned to a body that should have stopped. And in the end, 3 lives stood together in the storm. Not because the world was kind, but because they refused to let each other disappear. So ask yourself now, if you were lost beneath the snow, who would hear you? Who would come for you? And if you survived, who would stay beside you when everything else was gone? Because survival is not about strength. It is about who refuses to leave. And when the storm finally erased the cabin, when wood shattered and memories were buried forever, only one truth remained, that love does not live in houses. It does not live in fires. It does not even live in bodies. It lives in loyalty, in waiting, in returning, and in the silent promise that no one you love will ever be truly alone. So tell me, if you were lost in the storm, who would you trust to save you? And more importantly, who would still stay after the world is gone? And when the snow finally settled and the wind began to quiet, did the world even remember what had happened here? Did the frozen tundra keep any record of a man who once laughed beside a fire and a dog who once slept at his feet? Or does the cold erase everything equally? Names, footsteps, prayers, tears, and promises, leaving only blank white silence where stories once lived. And if no one remembers, does the sacrifice still matter? Does loyalty still exist if there are no witnesses? Or is it enough that someone, somewhere, once chose not to abandon another living soul? And isn't that the question we all avoid asking? When the lights go out and the world turns cruel? When strength fades and time runs thin, who will still kneel in the snow for us? who will still wait beside us when our voice is gone, who will carry the memory of our breath after our hands can no longer move. And what would you give to know with certainty that when your final night comes, someone will remain, not for reward, not for survival, but simply because love refuses to walk away? Because maybe this is what survival truly means. Not escaping death, not conquering the storm, but leaving behind at least one heart that remembers you, one soul that chose you, one quiet presence that proves your life mattered even after your body was gone. So when you close this story and return to your own warm room, your own safe breath, ask yourself one last time, not how strong you are, not how far you could walk, but who you would stay for, who you would search for in the storm, and who, in the end, you hope will still be there when everything else has turned to snow.